Good evening to all you lovely people. A rather interesting public interest litigation has been filed in the Honorable Supreme Court. I'll come to that. But before that, I have a fundamental question. I asked that to myself, and I'm sure you would be asking that to yourself. Did Srimati Indira Gandhi, as the Prime Minister of this country, have certain special rights which are not available to another Prime Minister of this country, Narendra Modi? Did Rajiv Gandhi, as a Prime Minister of this country, have certain rights which are not available to the Prime Minister Modi? Forget them. Did Sonia Gandhi, never a Prime Minister of India, just the chairperson of a body called UPA, not a constitutional position? Any few political parties can join together and create a post, a chairperson of their alliance. Did she also have bigger, more, and all powerful rights which Prime Minister Modi doesn't have? These are the fundamental questions one has to answer, because since the decision was made that a new parliament building needs to be made on multiple grounds. A, that the parliamentarians need to have basic facilities commensurate with how India has grown. B, you are going for delimitation, or you are mandated to go for delimitation, which basically means that the number of members of parliament will increase. So you need space for them. Do you know, even proper toilet facilities, we are going into gender sensitive world. Proper toilet facilities for female members of parliament, for female staff is not there. You need to have that. Wi-Fi. Today, everybody is streaming. You need to have facilities, and you need to have facilities for modern communication. So you need a parliament. India is the fifth largest economy in the world. But here the boycott starts. 20 opposition party. Forget this. Before these 20 opposition parties, this boycott, multiple people tried in the Honorable High Court, the Supreme Court, so that this building does not get built. They called it a vanity project. They called it a project in which the Prime Minister is wanting to change everything. I will come to that also, because the decisions of the Honorable Supreme Court in that case will or may have a bearing on this rather peculiar PIL. Those of you joining for the first time, I told you I'll try to be regular on the English channel. So please subscribe, please join. But before I come to that, I got a new knowledge, and I have to say I'm rather unhappy that I'm getting this knowledge now, and I do not know whether any of you have heard of it. Maybe in last one day you have heard of it, but such an important part of our history, such an important part which shows India is a civilization which is time immemorial, which is the oldest continuous civilization, was wiped out. You, of course, by now have guessed I am talking about how the power was transferred, and Sengol, a symbol of transfer of power, was given to the first Prime Minister. Because Lord Mountbatten, a foreigner, asked, how is power transferred? Because you are getting the power now. It was found out. Rajaji suggested it's Sengol, and it was given to the Prime Minister. Later, it was shunted aside, kept aside as a walking stick. A walking stick. Because why? Maybe it was too religious, because it had Nandiji on top. Seriously? What could be the reason that every child of India did not know this is how this was the symbol of transfer of power? How could it be kept aside as a walking stick? Please hear, and this you should hear from the source, Mr. Annamalai, where he explains the special significance. I would request everybody to watch this.
How the transfer of power should be. Because normally when, like a king, when a prime minister takes over a country, is there a symbolism by which you take over a country? In this land of Hindutva, the dharma being the fulcrum of it, when Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya suggested, normally the kings used to carry something called a Sengol, which reminds of the king, the righteous duty that he should always do as a person. Then it was decided that the Sengol should be made in Tamil Nadu by one of the Adinam, and the Sengol was made in Tamil Nadu by the Dharmapuram Adinam.
This is the beauty of Bharat. Those who try to divide it south versus north, east versus west should know certain things are taken from east, certain from west, certain from south, certain from north, and everybody celebrates it except certain vested interests, which will try to divide between the prime minister and the president, which will try to divide between the south and the northwest or the east. Beware of such people. Now let's come to the case. As I said, a rather interesting case has been filed. Before the case, also, I will tell you something. Two facts you must know. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, that's why I said, does Narendra Modi as a Prime Minister have lesser rights? Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she inaugurated the Parliament's Annexi building. Rajiv Gandhi inaugurated the Library of the Parliament. Srimati Sonia Gandhi has inaugurated various projects as the UPA chairperson. So, do they have special rights which the Prime Minister doesn't have? One answer, and we must face it, one explanation I heard, a rather incredible explanation, if I may say so, I heard was this, that because Annexi is a smaller project than a new parliament, or the library is a smaller project, it was okay for them to do it. Seriously? If somebody builds a single lane road, he will inaugurate that. If somebody builds a double lane road, he will inaugurate that. If somebody builds a modern, super fast highway in which even aeroplanes can land for defense purposes, he will inaugurate that. It is your vision and your execution. Whatever you vision, whatever you decide to build, and then you end up delivering on that, is what you will inaugurate. The point is, the basic point is, who will inaugurate? Not the ability to dream, visualize, and execute. Now this PIL. A rather interesting prayer, as I said, is made in this PIL, which says that a direction, observation, or suggestion to Lok Sabha Secretariat that the inauguration should be done by the President. Very good. That's the sort of PIL filed. Now let me tell you certain preliminary things. Can a direction or such a request even or such a prayer be even made to the court? That a direction be issued that president has to do it. Forget everything, I'll come to the law. Forget everything. Can a president be forced to do something? Did anybody ask the president? Does the president have any objection to this? Does the president not know the constitution better? Her constitutional rights better? Has the president even once suggested it should not be done? The same people who were contesting against the president, and that's the democratic right, today now are talking about what are the rights. Very interesting. On legal, there are a lot of preliminary issues. Should the court even go into it? Can the Lok Sabha Secretariat, which is only communicating the order, be even directed for this? Can the duly elected Prime Minister of India be restricted in any manner from inaugurating a project? Can the President of India be told to inaugurate a project? Can such a direction be issued either against the Prime Minister or the President? One for not to do, one to do. These are all questions. These are preliminary questions. I'm not even going into the merits. For some people who are confused, who are saying, why is this in court? The court has done nothing. It is just a petition in court, which is anybody's fundamental right to approach the court. But if you misuse your right, I will give you one example. What can happen? If the court, and the example is of Prime Minister Modi, if the court comes to a conclusion that you are misusing your right, plea to remove PM's photo from JAB certificate dismissed. High Court imposes a cost of 1 lakh rupees. This had happened when during COVID, there was this petitioner who moved to the High Court, Kerala High Court, saying that please remove the photograph of the Prime Minister. The court took a very dim view of it. The court said it's the frivolous petition. ulterior motives. You may not be proud of the Prime Minister, but 130 crore people have elected the Prime Minister of India. They are proud of him. Nobody has an objection to it. The court even suggested that withdraw the petition, but the petitioner, obviously, the court said seems to be motivated by politics or publicity. Kept arguing, insisted on arguing, insisted on an order. And the court came to the conclusion that the Prime Minister has come to power through a mandate of we the people. And political differences aside, he is the Prime Minister of the country. And such a petition to waste the court's time deserves to be dismissed with cost. So anybody can approach court, but if the court finds it's frivolous, it's absolutely political, it's done for the with the motive of attaining publicity, the courts do dismiss PILs with heavy costs. I do not know what will happen in the court. But one thing is clear. From the very moment the Prime Minister decided that such a building should be made, people approached courts. The court dismissed those objections. The building, new parliament is being built. People were happy to sit in the parliament made by Britishers, and they have an objection to a parliament made by Indians. Rather incredible. But that, unfortunately, is sometimes the state of affairs in India, where things are objected to, not because of the merit, because of who is doing it. Because the person who won a democratic mandate, and how petty, not only that you don't build it. And I have one last question, which you must answer. The question is this. Once the building, it was decided will be built, an all-out opposition attempt was made to discredit the Prime Minister for building it. If the people of this country felt Prime Minister was doing a wasteful expenditure, who would have borne the brunt? The Prime Minister. The people of this country felt, I'll give you my example. When I used to be in courts, early part of my intern and then a lawyer, go to Tisazari court. It used to be so dilapidated. No, it was jam-packed. Forget the lawyers. The citizens of this country who are coming to court, under pressure, everybody is tense when it's their case. I have seen people fainting because of lack of space, jam-packed courts, not effective fans, old structure, pathetic condition of toilets. And today you go, and so many district courts in Delhi are modern, where if you come to court, at least you have the basic comfort. Go to government buildings, some of the old ones versus the new ones. Everybody deserves to work in a decent environment. Everybody in private sector, wherever you're working, is decent buildings, decent environment. Here, members of parliament shouldn't have that. The people decided, and they said so many elections have happened after that. They said nothing doing. Anyways, the petitioner says he will mention the petition in the Supreme Court for urgent listing, for urgent hearing, because 28th is the day of inauguration. So likely it will be taken up, if he mentions it, if the mentioning is allowed, tomorrow. And whatever happens, I definitely will tell you. Bharat Mata Ki Jai.